Welcome to episode 30 of the LorainCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon, and today we're talking with Dawn Walther, candidate for Lorain County Recorder. Join us as Dawn discusses her motivations for running, her plans to increase accessibility through digitization, and her commitment to modernizing the office. She also shares her extensive background in office management and community service, along with her personal interests in hiking, birding, and kayaking. This episode is part of the 2024 Candidate Spotlight Series aimed at providing an additional way to learn about local leaders running for office. Before we get started, I wanted to share a quick disclaimer. Both of the companies I co-founded, Emerge Inc. and LorainCounty.com, have professional relationships with some of the candidates, and I also count a few of them as personal friends. To ensure fairness, we invited all local candidates to participate and record an episode completely free of charge. Each candidate running for the same office was asked the exact same questions, and aside from removing any unnecessary sounds and long pauses, we kept the editing to a minimum. For a full list of local candidates and issues, visit LorainCounty.com/election. And on election night, visit LorainCounty.com for real-time election results. Here is my conversation with Dawn Walther.
Dawn Walther, and I'm running for Lorain County Recorder.
Welcome, Dawn. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. To start with, what motivated you to run for a Lorain County Recorder?
Running for office has always been something I've had in the back of my mind. It was never the right time. My kids were young. I couldn't even think about it when they were growing up. There was too many activities, as well as me wanting to be with them and spending that time there. So when this opportunity came up, I jumped at it. It is perfect for me. I was made for this job.
Could you outline your main priorities if you're elected as Lorain County Recorder?
I think it's important for an elected official to show up. I think it's important because the responsibility of an elected official is huge. We're not just there because we get elected. We're supposed to take care of the people who elect us. So seeing a gap there, I decided that, you know what, I've always kept records. It's something that I've always done. In every job I've had, that's part of the job. So I wanted to make a difference. I keep hearing people say it's so difficult to use the website. Who is the recorder? What does the recorder do? That part of me that wants to help people wanted to get involved and say, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. I want them to understand what it is I do. I want there to be an outreach so that I can answer questions. I want them to be able to access their records, know where their records are, know what the office does, how it can make it easier for them. Because a lot of people have difficulties when a spouse passes away, and then they get traumatized when that happens. And then when they go into the recorder's office and they think that it's going to automatically transfer into their name, but the house does not, or the land does not, unless it's transfer on death. And so getting that education out there and making sure people understand that and taking away that trauma a little bit so they're not re-traumatized when they go to say, why do I have to do all that? You have to go over to the probate court and you have to make sure that you have this done and that done. It's done then. I've always served. It's something my husband and I have always done together. It was a natural thing for me to even think about running, that this is what I can do. I can ease the burden. Isn't that what we're supposed to do for one another?
How would your election and the implementation of your priorities benefit local businesses?
There's a lot of title companies who have to come in and they have to do the searches and the land searches. And so my dream is making sure that the records that are there are digitized. There are so many old records that are there, and to make sure that we modernize the office so that they don't have to come in and search through the plats or search through the large books, and they will benefit because I'm going to make sure that gets done. I've heard over and over again, oh, could you just, if you get elected, could you please just get those records digitized? We'd be happy if you just got to 1960. And yes, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that those records get updated and that people have access to them, because that is what the recorder's job is.
So you've already touched on my next question, but what role do you see technology and innovative practices playing in the future of the Lorain County Recorder's office?
If we can get everything digitized, then people, again, don't have to leave their homes to drive to the office between the hours of 8:30 and 4 or 4:30. And a lot of people have to work till 5. And by making it easier for them, the accessibility is there and it eases the burden of them having to rush around or take a day off or take a half a day off to get things done.
What trends do you see in Lorain County, and how would you like to see local government and the Lorain County Recorder's Office adapt to these changes?
I've never balked at change. I think change is good. I think that in order for there to be healthy growth There has to be change. And if you want something different, you have to do something different. You have to make something else happen. And I'm excited about the possibilities of what's coming. I'm hoping that people can work together. That's what we're supposed to do. Work together to make it easier for the residents of Lorain County.
If elected Lorain County Recorder, how will you define success? What metrics will you use to measure your progress towards success?
Being able to go in, and it's something I don't know I've been gifted with, that I can look at a situation and I can see beginning and end and I can fill in the middle. I'm a puzzle person. I can put that puzzle together, and being able to get in there, look at that puzzle and see where the pieces need to be shifted. I believe success is being able to set a goal and reach that goal. Now, sometimes you have to change the goal. It has to be shifted a little bit when you see what's involved. And like I said, success to me is being able to get in there and do the work. I'm a worker bee. That's what I do. I'm a doer. I have to do something. And so this is a way for me to make a difference and to make it more efficient.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What is your background?
Oh, it's a big one. I've been working for over 30 years. I started working in 1985. I have worked for law firms, secretarial role, an administrative role. I was the office manager for my husband's law practice for 10 years. And then when he got elected, I lost my job. And so I had to reinvent myself. And I went to work for an in-home care company called Comfort Keepers, and I was the office manager there. So I trained caregivers, I did the payroll, I did everything, day-to-day operations. And so managing people isn't an issue for me. And actually, I loved it because I got to see the light bulb go off sometimes for people to say, I know what I want to do. And that happened a few times. And so that is exciting to be able to help somebody follow their dream. Then from there, I worked for the county, and I was able to work for the commissioner's office, and I was put in charge of some pretty large projects, and I'm very proud of the work that we did there. So part of that was the census. In 2020, that's when the pandemic hit, so it made things a little more difficult, but we were able to put together the Census Complete Count Committee. We were recognized nationally because of how organized we got, how quickly we were able to do it. They were like, what are you doing? Because it's working. Because we were getting the numbers, we were getting people to send in their information. The reason why that's important is that the numbers that are reported maximizes the funding that we get. The federal government funds us by the amount of people that are counted. Without that, without the support from the federal government, we'd have to rely on local residents to fund it and other foundations. This made us maximize that. So I was very excited about that. The other project was, I had two other projects. One was the community protection team. So we put together a team that would make sure that people got the most up-to-date information about what was going on with COVID, and that people got the resources they needed, being no one's out anywhere, everything's closed. So making sure they knew where they could go and how they could get those resources. The last one is the Lorain County for Ukraine community. So that one, it was heartbreaking to see these people having to flee their homes. They had no way of knowing, what are we going to do? Where are we going to live? Most of them didn't speak English. What I was able to do was arrange for housing and resources to get them training and get them interpreters so that they could get that training and be able to thrive here. Hearing their stories was just devastating for me to hear how that things were blowing up and they have children and they're fleeing. And it's mostly women and children who came because the men stayed behind to fight. Those were three projects that I was very proud of.
In your professional career, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
Being able to literally make a difference. It's life and death for these people, and to make sure that they are safe. And in all three of those instances that I gave you, that's what it was about, making sure that people safe, that they had what they needed, that the resources were there, giving that information. And what they called me, then my nickname was, you're the information hub. And so if you need something, call Dawn. I'm very proud of that.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
My husband and I do a lot of hiking. We recently became birders within the last 5 years, and I didn't understand it before, but getting out in nature, being able to find the one bird that is like a lifetime achievement where other people don't get to see that. We love to get out into the water and kayak. Vacationing, of course, that definitely recharges. the battery. But being in nature is our favorite thing. So that's pretty much what I do.
What else would you like to share with listeners?
I am planning on being the full-time recorder. I don't believe that someone should be elected and then not show up. I think it's important and crucial for me to be there, because if I'm not there, how do I know that it's being done right? Or is that even fair for the voters that I would take a position and then decide, oh, I'm not going to show up. I'll come an hour here or there. And I just don't think that is right. And I think it is alarming when I see that. It bothers me. To me, it feels like you're taking money or being paid to do something that you're not doing. So I really am excited about the possibilities, and I'm hoping that people will consider me for this position. I've kept records for over 30 years. It's something that I was made for. It's something that comes more naturally to me.
Finally, where can people get more information on your candidacy and connect with you?
I am on Facebook. Dawn Walther for Recorder is my Facebook page. I post a lot on there. I post did you knows on there. Did you know what the Lorain County Recorder is? I bet you there's a lot of people out there who don't know that, because that's the number one question I get asked. And so on there is did you know? And it is from the revised code. That's how we know what the recorder's supposed to do, because it's code driven.
Thanks, Dawn. Thanks for your insights.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the LorainCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. We hope you found this conversation informative and that it provided some ideas that will help your business continue to grow. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform to hear each episode, where we shine a spotlight on local resources that will boost your business. And we want to hear from you. Email ed@loraincounty.com to share your feedback and topic ideas.